wise filmmaker once said, if you don't have a specific reason or purpose to move the camera, then keep it damn still. Being a good storyteller is all about a good tripod. Yeah, this is a tripod video. Number 1, the static shot.
I hear you're dying.
That might seem really painfully obvious considering we're talking about tripods, but wait.
I like to think of these static shots more in the realm of like photography. It's so much easier to really focus and be intentional about composition, framing, where you position your subject, your props. One director that's super famous for this style is Wes Anderson, although obviously he's not the only one that uses these impactful shots.
One of my favourite shots is the planar shot. It has a flat background, everything is perpendicular.
The whole idea is that it's like exactly perpendicular, so you're not like a little bit of an angle here or a little bit of a tilt. Your uprights are upright, everything's really squared off.
And it flattens the image into like a two-dimensional space, and I find this really satisfying, and again, it's inspired by Wes Anderson and the perfection that is created with a tripod shot.
I actually, now that we're talking about this, I feel like the tripod shot, the static tripod shot, has so many advantages that it should literally be your go-to starting point for everything. I mean, you can mask anything out. Nowadays with generative fill, we could extend or modify the background. The shot is static, it's so easy to do.
I've been using it in a lot of videos lately where we filmed horizontal and then we want to extend to a vertical frame. Just whack that in Photoshop if it's been done on a tripod. Extend the image.
If you want to do repurposing, static shot. If you want to focus on someone, static shot. If you've got no reason to move the camera, static shot.
Green screen.
This is your starting point as a filmmaker, and you do not deviate from this unless you specifically have to.
The path that you generally go through as a filmmaker is you start with a tripod. Then you stray away from the tripod once you realise that a gimbal is interesting.
And that's like straying away from Jesus, essentially.
Or whip pans or whatever those snazzy shots are. But then filmmakers always come back to the tripod shot.
The one caveat to the static shot is that it does need to be actually static. And so you do need a sturdy, well-built, reliable tripod. Which, you know, it's lucky I should say that.
Is it?
Because Sirui have been very kind to send us an SQ75 with a VHS-10 Cinema Head.
We're going to be using this throughout this video to show you the different ways that you can use a proper video tripod. None of that travel, lightweight stuff. We're talking sturdy. Anyway, that's the static shot. Number 2.
Boom. The top-down shot.
This is always a good shot to throw into any video to mix things up a bit, mix up the framing, pacing. It gives the viewer a lot of information about the scene because it's like a bird's eye view. You're taking someone out of the shot.
It's purely observational. You're not feeling...
You're not the character. There are some shots where you want the viewer to feel like the character. This is not one of those. This is a fly on the wall situation.
Fly on the wall, that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
You're welcome. In the same way as I mentioned the planar shot in the previous point, this also gives that two-dimensional style from above, so it matches really well when cutting between those two shots.
Yeah. You barely reach the top. That's basically 90 degrees. That's actually 90 degrees. If it wasn't for the matte box, we could go 90 degrees.
Can't do one of those without a good, solid, sturdy, tall boy.
Number 3, pan and tilt. And this is actually the first one that properly requires a proper cinema tripod, more specifically a good head, tripod head.
We all love good head.
You can't...
Storytellers, filmmakers, use the pan and tilt to follow the action. You can also use a combination of both pan and tilt. So for example, if you've got a character standing up.
Now we're getting advanced though. But what makes it so much easier is a decent fluid head. As you apply pressure, and it can be on both axes or on a single axis because you can lock each one individually, it will provide a constant speed. Like you just apply pressure and it will limit your speed and it just looks butter smooth.
There's so many things you can dial in as well, where you can make it an S-curve at the end, like slow
a bit more
down,
resistance
a bit more resistance,
at the end.
or like looser, or, and it's just really satisfying to really nail the shot and get exactly what you want from it. One point that's really important is that you have to nail the timing. If you're following the action, you can't lag behind the action or get too ahead of the action for it to look truly professional, accurate, and also not distract the viewer.
And that takes a bit of practice.
Number 4, this is one of my personal favorites, and it's the floating tripod. This is where you leave some of the legs intentionally loose so that you can use the movement of the tripod and use the stability of the tripod whilst also creating movement.
It's not that I hate it, but I do a little bit, yeah. It's a lot of moving parts, you know, and if you have to also focus pull while you're doing it, while you're doing the movement, and it can be difficult. What I will say is it is a lot easier with a decent cinema tripod because
convenient.
You've got oiled moving parts.
Yeah, you've also got some resistance. Like with a normal tripod, it is dodgy. But I absolutely love this, and especially as someone with shaky hands, because this means that I can create cool camera movement whilst also having that steady.
It's almost like a fake motion control.
Highly recommend. Number 5.
In a way, we're back to the static shot, aren't we, where we began. You can use focusing, and this is used all the time in film and cinema, to propel the narrative. Let's say you've got a stationary frame, and you have a character in the foreground, and the focus racks to behind them where there is an object, for example, a knife. You could be implying that that knife will soon be relevant.
You need a tripod for this.
I mean, you don't need,
no.
But it does make it so much easier, and again, so much cleaner and more cinematic in 99% of cases.
Yeah, especially like dialogue.
If you want to win Oscars, gotta get a tripod. That's all I'm going to say. Gotta get a good tripod. No tripod, no Oscars. Let me know in the comments if you know a film that was shot, that ever won an Oscar, that was shot without a tripod. I'll wait. Let me know in the comments if there is one.
ChatGPT.
No, don't.
Mmm.
See, that's interesting.
Unique example of an Oscar-winning film that avoided tripod shots entirely.
But it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song rather than for the film. Does it really count?
That's it. Those are the 5 tripod shots that will make you the next best filmmaker.
If you like this video, subscribe for more. Bye!
See you next time. Bye! But like, in funny news that I would like to tell the world, I found out that Bart thought that Rumpelstiltskin...
Most people do not know who Mr. Stiltskin is.
Everyone knows who Rumpelstiltskin is. Bart thought that Rumpelstiltskin, his first name was Rumple. His first name was Rumple and his last name was Stiltskin.
And what?
So he was referring to him as Mr. Stiltskin.
Who the f*** has a name as long as Rumpelstiltskin?
A fairy tale.
Yeah, exactly.